Hare Krishna. We are starting with the chapter number 2. And here is the first verse of chapter number 2. Sanjayo vacha tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. Hare Krishna, all of you. So here is the verse that Sanjay has spoken. He's summarizing the situation, and we saw in the last verse of the first chapter, what was the verse saying? It was saying that Arjuna was very disappointed, and then he kept his bow below. I mean, he was completely very, very disappointed, and he kept his Gandiva bow below. And then what happened afterwards? That's what we are going to see in today's verse. That what did Arjuna do after that? What did Krishna react? What was Krishna's reaction as soon as he saw Arjuna being so disappointed? That's what we will see. So what was the reason why Arjuna was not willing to fight? You see, the reason is material compassion, lamentation. And he was also crying, tears. All these reasons, they are not signs of strength, but they are signs of ignorance of real self. I mean, Arjuna is exhibiting that he is ignorant about the knowledge of his self. That is Atma Tattva. The real compassion is compassion for the eternal soul. So that is called self-realization. I mean, if you're really compassionate, be compassionate for the soul. Actually, people do not understand where the compassion should be applied. You know, the perfect example for this that Srila Prabhupada gives is this. Compassion for a dress of a drowning man is senseless. Do you agree, everyone? Let's say that there's a person who's drowning in water. Do you aim to save that person or the person's dress? Tell me.
The person, Prabhuji, we will try to save the person.
We try to save the person, not the dress. But what if we just focus on the dress and forget the person and the person dies? You see, if we do not have the knowledge of the self, we do not understand that we are not the body, we are the soul. Krishna is trying to say, whoever you are seeing here, all of them, they are not the bodies, they are the soul. They will not be killed anyways. So what is important is we save the soul. That's more important than saving the body. So what is happening is every human being is actually fallen into an ocean of ignorance. And we being fallen in the ocean of ignorance ourselves, how can we rescue others? And such a person who is fallen in the ocean of ignorance, he himself, first of all, must be saved. So simply by saving the outward dress, it is not enough. The gross material body is just like a dress. Okay, there's a verse that comes in this chapter number 2, right? It says, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. That means, you see, our body is just like a dress, and you know, when the dress becomes jirnani, means when it becomes an old dress, what do you do with the dress? You change it. You change it, am I right? So similarly, our body is like a dress. But then if you think that simply by saving the body, you're saving it, it's just like saving the dress of a drowning man. It's not useful. Okay, so can anybody tell me what was Arjuna? What was his duty in the war field? Who was he?
He is
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya and he has to fight the war.
He's a Kshatriya, and but unfortunately, what is Arjuna saying? Arjuna is saying, my dear Krishna, I shall not fight. Nayotsya iti Govindam. The dear Krishna, I shall not fight. And he cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot. His mind is overwhelmed with grief. This is not at all expected from Arjuna, isn't it? I mean, who would expect that Arjuna would be doing like this? That he'll put down his bow and then he's sitting and saying, I will not fight. And what is interesting here is, in this verse, Arjuna is referring to Krishna as what? Or what is the name of Krishna that has been referred here in this shloka? Do you remember, anybody? I read the shloka.
Madhusudana.
That's right. Madhusudana. So it's significant here. Every name is significant. So whenever Krishna calls Arjuna with some name, when he calls him Partha, or when he calls him Pandava, when he calls him Kaunteya, Dhananjaya, Gudakesha, there is a particular reason for that. Similarly, when Krishna is being called with certain name here, there's a reason, right? Madhusudana, Govinda, Keshava. Here, Madhusudana is significant. What does Madhusudana mean? Anybody can say?
Killer of demon Madhu.
Demon.
Killer of demon Madhu. Killer of demon Madhu. So what is he trying to say by calling Krishna as killer of demon Madhu?
Kill the demon in me.
Yes. Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. Arjuna is supposed to do his duty, but then he's become very depressed and he's not able to do his duty. So he's saying, kill this demon which is stopping me or preventing me from doing my duty. You see, this chapter is very important. This is the second chapter, right? It teaches about something. So what does this second chapter teach? Anybody can say? Second chapter teaches about one important thing. What's the first lesson that we're going to learn? It's
You
about
should
That
do our
this body
Christian
is
duty.
totally
The body is
material,
useless.
and it is going to be shed off.
absolutely right.
We have to shed off the dead body and take off a new body.
Absolutely right. So the first lesson that we're going to learn here is that we are not the body, we are the soul. And then this realization is possible only when we work without attachment to the fruitive results. When we are fixed in the conception of the self. These are the two main things that we will learn in this entire chapter. First thing is, you're not the body, you are the soul. The second thing is that if you want to work on the platform of the spirit soul, if you want to really get the self-realization practically, then what you must do, you must work without attachment to the result. Because when you're self-realized, you can work without attachment to the result. So that is actually being situated in the real self. Now let us just see the story of Madhusudana. See the Madhusudana story. Why this name Madhusudana has come. Okay. So Madhusudana. Who is this Madhu? Anybody knows this Madhu? Did he have a brother? What is the name of his brother, if he had?
Casey,
No.
Ketak Prabhuji, Madhu Ketak.
Yeah, that's right. Madhu
Thank you.
Kaitaba. Madhu Kaitaba are two demons. Okay, Madhu and Kaitaba are two demons. They were born from the wax of Lord Vishnu. There are multiple stories. In one story, or in one version of the story, it is said that this Madhu and Kaitaba were born from the wax of Lord Vishnu. In another story, it is said that Madhu and Kaitaba were born from two droplets on the lotus stem from which Lord Brahma had come. So when the creation happened, when the lotus stem and the lotus flower came out, and Lord Brahma came out. Am I right? So from that, Madhu and Kaitaba also, there were two demons who had come and they started to attack Lord Brahma. Okay. And then they stole the Vedas and they went to the completely to the lower planetary system. Okay. So the lowest planetary system, they go with the Vedas. This Madhu and Kaitaba are the representation of mode of ignorance and mode of passion. And the Vedas are transcendental. What is the purpose of the Vedas? The purpose of the Vedas is Veda is cha sarvair ahameva vedyo. The purpose of the Vedas is to understand Lord Sri Krishna. So if the Vedas are not present, you see the mode of passion and mode of ignorance, they steal this transcendental knowledge and we won't be able to understand who is God, who is Krishna. So this Madhu and Kaitaba have stolen the Vedas and they have ran away right now. So Lord Brahma goes to Lord Vishnu and prays to him that please protect these Vedas. Without these Vedas, they are like my eyes. And without the Vedas, I cannot function. I won't be able to do the creation of the universe. That's when Lord Vishnu comes in the form of Hayagriva. Okay. When he comes in the form of Hayagriva, anybody knows how the Hayagriva form looks like? What is the face of Lord Hayagriva?
Horse.
Horse. Horse face Lord, right? So he comes in the face of a horse. And then there's some very, very nice verses in Srimad Bhagavatam which describe this Hayagriva Rupa. Let me read one verse which glorifies this wonderful avatar. Tasmai bhavan hayashirsha tanuvam hi bibrad veda druham atibalau madhukaita bhakyau hatvanayach shruti ganamscha rajastamascha sattvam tava priyatamam tanum amanati. It says, my dear Lord, when you appear as a Hayagriva, the head of a horse, you killed two demons known as Madhu and Kaitaba, who were full of modes of passion and ignorance. Then you delivered the Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma. For this reason, all the great saints accept your form as transcendental, untinged by material qualities. So this is the glorification of Lord Hayagriva. And then what happens? As soon as Madhu and Kaitaba get to know, they come in front of Lord Vishnu. And then they challenge him that we will fight. And Madhu and Kaitaba were really strong demons. And they started to fight with Lord Vishnu. And the fight was going on for a long time. It was not ending. Now it is like 5,000 years of fighting. 5,000 years of fighting. And then Lord Vishnu, he was thinking, what should I do now? They're not getting defeated. So Lord Vishnu, you know what he does? He tells them, you're fighting very nicely. I'm very impressed by you. So please ask for a boon. I'm ready to give you a boon. And out of pride, what do those two demons say? Can you guess what they say? Nobody will say, I want to die in your hands, obviously. No. But how is Lord going to trick them now? He says, okay, ask me for a boon. They say, why do I need your boon? You ask for a boon. We will give you a boon. Then Lord Vishnu says, yes, I want a boon. What is that boon? I want you both to die in my hands. Got it? So, and then they have to accept it because they gave the boon. And then they accept, and then Lord Vishnu, they make them sleep on his thighs, and then he cuts their head with the Sudarshana Chakra. You see, Lord has saved the Vedas, the transcendental knowledge, which is a representation of our knowledge, right? The transcendental knowledge which teaches us about the knowledge of the self, which gives us the knowledge of Lord Krishna, which has been stolen by the mode of passion and ignorance. he killed the demon Madhusudana, who represents the mode of passion. Now Arjuna is saying, my dear Madhusudana, or this verse here saying Madhusudana. What does that mean? Anyone? How do we relate that here? The story. So that means Lord is capable of killing the demon Madhu, right? Just like how the demon Madhu was killed and the Vedas were protected and given back to Lord Brahma. Similarly, Arjuna is saying, just like Lord Brahma, I'm not able to kill this demon Madhu. That is the mode of passion, mode of ignorance, which is taking me away from the transcendental knowledge about Krishna, about the soul, right? So he's saying, can you please kill me? These doubts or this depression or this anxiety, which is stopping me from doing my duty. So please kill that. So that's the deeper meaning of it. All right. So let us see the next verse. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupastitam Anarya Justam Asvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, now how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. Anybody wants to read the verse? Anybody wants to repeat the verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kūtastvakashmalam idam Vishame Samupastitam Anaryajushtamasvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Here it's saying Kutastva Kashmalam idam. Kutas means where from. Kashmala means impurities. Vishame, that means in this situation, in this very, very, very difficult situation. So Krishna is asking, where from these impurities have come within you? How are you thinking like this? From where did you get this kind of thoughts? It's unbelievable. It's unacceptable. Because it is anarya justam. They're not befitting a person who knows the values of life. Arya. We'll see that in a detail, okay? So this is what it means. So this is like the first verse spoken by Lord Krishna. And what is Krishna addressed as here? The first line, what does it say?
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't say Sri Krishna Uvacha. It says Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Sri Bhagavan, so Krishna is the absolute truth, Bhagavan. The absolute truth can be understood in three features. Anybody can say what are the three features?
Rama,
Okay.
Narsimha.
Not in that way. In
Okay.
that's a verse, right? Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyati. The three, yes.
Hare Krishna,
Ah,
Prabhuji.
Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu.
Paramatma and Bhagwan.
Okay, yes. It is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. We're talking about the absolute truth.
Ah,
We're talking about
okay,
the
okay.
absolute. Yes. So the absolute truth can be understood in three ways, three features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. What's the difference between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan? Is like this. Okay, if you see the sunshine, okay, the sunshine is the impersonal representation of the sun globe, the sun planet, right? So this sunshine is like the Brahman, and we have the sun globe or the sun surface, that is like Paramatma, and sun god himself is like Bhagavan, okay, or the sun planet itself is Bhagavan. You see, there are three things here, right? What are the three things? The sunshine, sun's surface, and the sun planet itself. There are three aspects here. But the sunshine is not different from sun, isn't it? Sunshine or the light comes from the sun. The source is the sun. There's no difference practically. So when the sunshine comes inside my room, it is as good as sun coming inside my room. It's not the same, but at least it's like a representation of sun. Similarly, Brahman is the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Paramatma is the localized super soul. Paramatma is the localized super soul who is in the heart of every living entity. That is Paramatma feature. And Bhagavan is Krishna himself. You see? So everybody, all the transcendentalists, they try to understand the absolute truth in three ways: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And the students who are engaged in the study of the absolute truth in different ways. So that is, the Jnanis, they try to understand the absolute truth from the Brahman point of view. That's why they say everything is impersonal, because their point of view is from Brahman point of view. And the yogis, they are studying from the platform of Paramatma. So they meditate upon the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is seated in the heart of every living entity. And Bhagavan, so who are those students who are trying to study the aspect or who are trying to worship the Bhagavan aspect? Anybody can say?
Devotees.
Yes, the devotees. The devotees are doing it. So even though the absolute truth in all these three features is the same, it's just that three different features, that's it. The features are different, but the absolute truth being referred to is the same. But the students, they don't belong to the same category. They are in three different categories. So, and this word Bhagavan is very significant. Bhagavan. Bhagavan. So who gave this definition of Bhagavan? Anybody can say, how do we know who is God? So there's a definition for God. The definition is given by Parashara Muni, right? It says, Aishwaryasya samagrascha viryascha yashasya shriyaha jnana vairagyayuschaiva shannam bhagam itingana. So there are 6 opulences of the Supreme Lord. Can anybody say what are the 6 opulences of Lord Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Maharaj.
All beauty,
Yes.
all fame.
Yes.
He is the most powerful person.
Yes.
Renunciation, full renunciation.
Yes.
Full knowledge.
Yes.
All riches. And
All riches. All riches. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Lord has 6 opulences: all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Such a personality can be called Bhagavan, who has complete. There may be some people who have some riches. So the richest person on the planet today, recently someone changed. So that person, does he have the complete wealth of the world? What do you say? Does he have the all wealth of the world? No, right? He has only fraction of the wealth. Similarly, the strongest man on the earth is not the strongest. He doesn't have all the strength. There can be people who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned and very detached, but they cannot claim that they have all fame, all riches, all strength, etc. So, but Krishna can claim, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is actually full of all these 6 opulences. So he is indeed very rich because he is the husband of, who is he? He is the husband of
Vijay Lakshmi.
goddess of fortune,
God.
Lakshmi Devi. He is Madhava, husband of goddess of fortune. Obviously, all the riches are his. Is the most powerful person. You see, his expansion of Balarama or Anantashesha, all the universes are actually seated on Balaram, isn't it? And he is all knowledgeable because the four Kumaras, they are the knowledge representation of Lord. And as soon as they were born, they went to the forest. Okay, that's one example. Okay, they are also the incarnations of the Lord. Am I right? And then they are completely renounced. That is Naranarayana. When Lord came in the incarnation of Naranarayana, Indra had sent so many celestial women to disturb them, but he was completely undisturbed. So that's showing his complete renunciation. So that's how Lord is all beautiful as well. He's called Madana Mohana because even thousands and thousands of cupids also get bewildered when they see the beauty of Lord Krishna. So therefore, he is called Bhagavan. That's why it says that there are many persons possessing qualities of Bhagavan. But Krishna is the supreme because no one can excel him. He is the supreme person. His body is eternal, full of strength, full of knowledge and eternity and bliss. Satchidananda Vigraha. All right. And then Krishna, he has got many expansions. We spoke about some expansions now. We spoke about the four Kumaras. We said Parashurama Avatara, Rama Avatar, Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, so many. But you see, it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Yete chamsa kala pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the list of the incarnations of Godhead submitted herewith are either plenary portions, plenary expansions, or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Lord. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna is the Bhagavan himself. He is the absolute truth. We spoke about three features of the absolute truth. Bhagavan, Paramatma, Brahman. Bhagavan is Lord Krishna himself. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is the source of Paramatma. He is the source of Brahman. So he is the origin of both Brahman and Paramatma. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that Supreme Personality of Godhead is now speaking Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. He is saying Kutastva Kashmalavidam Vishame Samupastitam Anaryajustam Asvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Now he is saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is speaking this Bhagavad-gītā, the song of God, the Supreme Absolute Truth. He is speaking the original Supreme Absolute Truth. He is saying to Arjuna, where from this kind of lamentation is coming? He is actually expressing his surprise. How is it possible? Sometimes we are like, very surprised. How can you do this? So just imagine a cricket match and there's a star player, final match, World Cup. And then the last minute, the cricket player says, no, I shall not fight. I shall not play. I'm sorry. I shall not play. And then everybody says, what? How can you do this to us? How can you drop out at this moment? We can't believe it. Right? This is Aryan civilization. Aryan civilization means Aryan. The word Aryan means a person who knows the values of life. And the values of life, this Aryan civilization, that is a Vedic culture, is based on the spiritual realization. We are not talking about Aryan Dravidian. Okay, it's a bogus theory. It doesn't have any standing in the Vedas. We're not talking about such bogus theory, but nor are we talking about that artificial Aryan concept created by certain people during the World War. Not even that. That's also bogus. We're speaking about the original Aryan. When we say Aryan, coming from Bhagavad-gītā, Anarya Justam Asvargyam. So it's applicable to those people who understand the values of life. It's about spiritual life, spiritual life. So what distinguishes Indian civilization from all the civilizations is that our civilization is that of a spiritual life. So right from childhood, every function, everything that we do, every ritual that we do is leading towards spiritual realization. Starting from the samskaras, right from before the conception of the child, called the Garbhadana Samskara, and after being born, called the Jata Karma, as soon as the umbilical cord is cut. And then comes the Namakarana and so many other samskaras. Each and every one of these samskaras are leading towards the spiritual realization. Our culture, it is that, after the birth, when the child comes to certain age, then he goes to the Gurukula. And in the Gurukula, he is teaching, he is learning under a teacher, spiritual master, learning the spiritual knowledge from the Vedas. You see, this is our original culture. But unfortunately, you see, this knowledge of the Vedas is lost today in India. That means the mode of passion and ignorance have taken over. The Madhu and the Kaitava, these demons have stolen the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge. Now we are trying to revive this Vedic culture. We don't have this culture anymore. We just have some remnants of it. That's it. Only during some festivals we try to be a little bit traditional, but all the time we are not. So we're trying to revive that. So these demons, Madhu and Kaitava, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, have stolen all of our knowledge. And Arjuna here is lamenting. See, this is what happens when you don't have transcendental knowledge. The result is lamentation. It is not Aryan civilization to lament. I mean, it is our civilization or our Vedic culture is all about discharging the duty. So discharge your duty without attachment to the result for spiritual realization. This is such a wonderful concept, which is combining duty and self-realization. Am I right? Right. So this act of Arjuna, that I will not fight, what do you think? Is it nice? What do you think? Is it good? Is it approved as per the Vedic culture?
No, Prabhuji, it's not approved.
What
That
should
he would not fight because he being a Kshatriya, it's his duty to fight.
no? What happens if a soldier, if he refuses to fight and goes away from the war?
Prabhuji, it will like manobal toot jayega. The other people, they will lose confidence in him, and they will also run away from the battle, Prabhuji. So it will be a
And what happens to this soldier who runs away? I mean, as per the Vedic civilization, Vedic culture, as per the Vedas, if a soldier runs away from the war,
he dies before his death, Prabhuji.
He will
dies
be
before his
called
death?
covered.
He's a dead
He'll be
person
called
before he
covered.
dies.
He'll be called a coward.
And
And
he'll be subjected to infamy. And
Infamy.
that person dies before his death, Prabhuji. He cannot live then. He's so shamed that he will feel he's already dead.
And what is the destination for that person after death? Somebody who is running away from a war.
He'll go to hell, Prabhuji. He can't go to the heavenly planets because he's not done his duty.
That's right. So as per the Vedas, the Kshatriyas, they are not supposed to come away from the battlefield. So battlefield is like your office. That's their office, right? You can't come from your duty running and saying, oh, I can't fight. I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling scared here. So if somebody does that, I mean, the Kshatriyas, they choose to even die in the battlefield. Bhishma, he was like completely wounded and he did not even choose to come back home. He said, I'll stay in the battlefield. Just put me on the, bed of arrows, isn't it? So that's the spirit of a Kshatriya, right? So everybody has got a role to play, right? The Kshatriyas, their mood is of fighting. Our mood is not fighting. I mean, our duty is not to fight. But the Vedas, they're giving injunctions how everybody must act. So how a householder must act, how a husband must act, how a wife must act, how a father must act, how a child must act towards the parents, what responsibility the child has, how we must conduct, how a king is supposed to conduct the kingdom. All this is explained in the Vedic literature. And if anybody is deviating from the prescribed duties out of lamentation, out of any other feeling, they are no different from Arjuna, who is proposing to run away from the war. So the same thing is applicable. Anarya Justam Asvargyam. So neither it is Aryan, nor we will be able to go to the heavenly planets. Asvargyam. That means Krishna is saying, in other words, Naraka means it is just a path to hell, giving up our duties. So this is what we have to understand. So Arjuna is teaching us so much. So this is what we understand from these two verses, that Lord Krishna, he is not approving this so-called compassion of Arjuna for his relatives. It's a very strong verse. The first verse of Bhagavad-gītā itself, Krishna is telling something very important for all of us. Okay, he's speaking about Vedic culture. He's speaking about what are the duties indirectly, and is completely condemning what Arjuna is proposing to do. Okay, let's see in the next verse what Krishna is going to say further, and what is the Arjuna's reaction for that. We'll see that in the coming verses. All right. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Prabhuji,
Hare
on this note, we should just appreciate our soldiers, Prabhuji, all
Absolutely.
the army personnel who are our Arjunas, Prabhuji.
Yes, sure. Definitely.
They are giving us, laying down their lives
Yes.
because of whom we are here.
Sure. Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.